How you doing so far? Great. All right. Let's do this. Sometimes I just gotta get on stage and breathe. Can you guys breathe with me? You know, sometimes I get nervous and there's a lot of thinking and there's a lot of managing of my thinking while I'm standing here trying to manage my thinking that I'm going to match with your thinking. And you know, all of a sudden there's like a lot of things going on. So I just want to like start from scratch, blank slates. And I invite you guys to, while I'm up here, feel free to take a mental vacation. Feel free to listen to me like you listen to music. Feel free to put down your pen and paper. Because I'm not going to give you any applications. I'm going to point towards an understanding that has implications. It's a huge difference. So if you don't understand what I'm going to talk about, then that's fine. If you actually, I would prefer that, to be honest, and you're going to know why later. And if you are sitting there trying to understand, that's fine too. Whatever your experience of this little talk will be, let that be it. You're good. You're already good. All right, so I'm going to go, like, for these 20 minutes, I'm just going to go through parts of my story, kind of quick, but I'm going to focus on my biggest breakthroughs. So I'm going to focus on what I call, or what I see as paradigm shifts. Yeah, and like back in 2006, this is really funny actually. Back in 2006, I went online and I wanted to learn how to be more productive. So obviously I ended up on Steve Pavlina's site, right? So I ended up there and I found your article about why you should quit your job, and the other one about how to create a high traffic generating site. Yeah, you know what I mean. And I still remember the number 10, and you wrote, if you forget all the 9 bullets I wrote, just focus on providing as much value as you can, or helping people. Yeah, he's nodding, so I'm like, yes. Helping people, and that will be your most valuable asset. That's the most important thing. It's funny how now, how many years ago was that? 8 years ago, I still remember that one bullet. And I'm here, like I printed out his blog posts, his articles, literally on paper in my bed, reading his fucking 25 pages blog post, and now I'm stoked to be at the same stage with Steve. We're good friends. We made a product together, and you've been a huge inspiration. So that's really cool. And also, I've known about Tim since 2007 as well. I remember I sent a message to him, and I was psyched when he answered me back when I was living in my dorm in Lillehammer in Norway. So it's a weird coincidence. Those are the 2 speakers that was on this stage right before me now. It's like universe is just like, what the fuck is just happening right now? You know what I mean? So I wanted to share that. And I also obviously want to give a huge applause to all the guys in the making this. Kai, this is ridiculously amazing. Janina, and what's your name again? I'm sorry. Charlie. You've been like taking me under your wing. You've been super service-minded, and I'm proud of you guys. I love the venue. I love the entire conference. I also want to give a hand to you guys. Yeah. Okay, so I talked a little bit about Lillehammer. When I was in Lillehammer, I had recently broken up with my ex-girlfriend. I stepped out of my comfort zone into a new college, meeting new people, And obviously when that happens, guys meet and they go, how do we pick up chicks? That's the first motivation guys, student guys has. So we, that kind of, long story short, I went to a seminar, like a dating seminar in Oslo, and was inspired to join a coaching program on how to pick up chicks, like literally. And for 6 months, doing nothing but talking to girls. Nothing but talking to girls. Which was an interesting and, yes, I realize, a very weird experience. But also a valuable experience. During that time, I got more interested in mental health, peak performance, personal development. But the biggest breakthrough I had during that period was just realizing that during my conversations with women, I slowly realized that there is no battle of the sexes. There really is no battle of the sexes. It's a thought-generated problem. It's an illusion that does not exist. So in that period, we decided to start a conference where the vision was to go away from the gimmicks, the pickup lines, and the games, and connect authentically with the genders as we naturally want. So that was like an insight I had, like, whoa, the girls actually want to connect too. And I want to connect, whoa. And it might sound like a given to you guys now, but for me, then, that was huge. So we started this conference, this annual conference that he talked about in the beginning. And long story short, after doing, like, that became popular, we brought in international speakers to this, and yada, yada, yada. Long story short, on the 4th annual conference in 2013, I invited Jamie Smart to come and speak at the conference. And Jamie Smart is used to be an NLP practitioner coach. He had the biggest NLP product company in the world. So I expected him to talk about NLP, right? And I was like, there was some misunderstanding in management of the speech, what he was going to talk about. So when he got on stage, he talked about something completely different, which is what I'm going to be pointing towards. When I listened to that speech, I had a huge realization. I was just listening to him talk, and I just felt myself just feeling good. I wasn't trying to manage my thinking. I wasn't trying to figure out all of the things that I had to do, that I should do in order to feel a certain way, or in order to achieve success so I would feel good. I was just sitting there and feeling good, like I was listening to music. And when your mind is clear, it's also open for new, fresh thinking. This is key. When your mind is clear, it's also open to receiving fresh, new thinking. Fresh, new thoughts you've never had before. That's what I call a real breakthrough. That's what I call a real insight. That's a paradigm shift. Remember Einstein's quote, a problem in a certain, help me. Yeah, so a problem cannot be solved on the same level of consciousness it was created, something along those lines, right? It's so true. Like, back in 2006, my entire universe was that there was a battle of the sexes. I had to navigate my, like Knut, my colleague used to say, navigate my male software and figure out how to, you know, merge that with the female software somehow. And I really believe that, but realizing, having fresh new thoughts will completely change your entire experience of life. So when I was sitting there listening to Jamie, I just had a realization, and the realization was, whoa. It just came to me, I was like, whoa. I am breaking up with my girlfriend, and I'm starting a new chapter in my life. And it wasn't like, it just felt right in an instant. It was just boom, and then I knew it. Have you ever had those moments where you realize something, and the split second you realize it, you know it's true? Yes or no? Yeah. That's because it doesn't have to go through any filters from the outside. It's just from the inside. All right? So it is resonating with you. It just feels right. So when I realized that it felt right to me to start a new chapter and break up with my girlfriend, I got shit scared. You know? I loved her. I didn't want to lose her. I didn't want to be rejected. I didn't want to be alone. I wanted to, oh my God, this crazy new thing. When I started thinking about all the possible scenarios or boundaries or challenges, I got scared naturally. But I also knew it was right. That was the first big breakthrough I had. So I talked to Jamie. I went to Jamie. I like, Jamie, okay, I don't know what you did. I just know that when you talked, I felt great, and I got this insight that I know for a fact that resonates with me, and now apparently I am super inspired to change my life from out of nowhere. So I was like, okay, are you up for doing a workshop ASAP? I want to share this with people, because there was 150 people there. He was like, yeah, we set up a workshop 2 weeks later. And then at that workshop, I was sitting down, ready with my pen and paper. I've always been the guy who takes the most notes. I want to be the massive action taker. I want to, always be getting as much information as possible so I can do what's right in order to get where I should be so I can feel happy. You know what I mean? So I was right there, ready to start writing, and I wrote and wrote for 3 hours, and I tried to figure out what his view of life was. What is his concept? What is he trying to say? And I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it. So 3 hours in, I was like, fuck it. And I threw my pen and paper away. 5 minutes later, boom, something hit me. A huge realization. A huge realization. And I'm going to say something now that will be experienced by all of you differently. Okay? Like everything. Right? So I realized that in any given moment, I am living in the feeling of my thinking. I am literally feeling my thought-generated experience in the moment. I'm not feeling this. I am feeling my experience of this. And there is the world of difference in those two things. The world of difference. So Jamie said this to me, and I was like, yeah, so what? I feel my thinking. That's what I've been saying the last 5 years in every single seminar I've had. I've said, a circumstance is just a circumstance. It's how you look at it that determines how you feel about it. But it's not the same thing at all. It's not the same thing at all. We are both creating and perceiving our experience in the moment. And because it's moments, doesn't even have, they're timeless. So we're not noticing that we are the ones who are creating it. So we're just perceiving. So there's a very, very strong illusion that we are feeling from the outside in. That we're feeling anything else than our thinking in the moment. Believing that we're feeling anything else and believing that we're feeling anything other than our thinking in the moment naturally results in us trying to manage our experience at any certain given moment. And also we falsely believe that we need to manage our thinking. And before you know it, you're running around trying to change your thinking, your experience. And since you're living in the feeling of your thinking, you're feeling that thought-generated experience. Here's the cool part. We're all born from nature. We're all born, like when we were kids, we had natural confidence, natural self-esteem. If we fell down, we stood up with equal amount of enthusiasm as when before we fell down, right? It's just when a 3-year-old, he can be pissed, and then he can be happy, and then he can be depressed, and then he can be curious, and then he can be fascinated, and then he can be dancing, and then he can be so angry his face is falling off, and then, you know, but he's just in life unfolding. He's just letting life unfold and being in the experience. And he doesn't think that he should be doing anything else. So this natural state of ours, this natural well-being that we are born with, that's closer to who you are. Then somewhere along the way, we started believing that happiness comes from the outside instead of from the inside, and we started searching for it. We started trying to achieve happiness. And what do we do then? We are feeling our thinking in the moment, so we are feeling trying thinking. When we have trying thinking, we feel that. It's like a coin. It's like two sides of the same coin. Thoughts and feelings. And oh, by the way, I am not talking about what you think, only what you think about. I am talking about your entire thought-generated experience, everything. Your entire thought-generated experience. You don't have to understand this, by the way. Cool thing about the mind, it's from nature, so it comes with a self-correcting system. Like if I scratch myself, that's gonna heal. I can be scratching it and be bothered about it and telling everyone about it and be depressed about it, or I could just let nature do its work and it's going to heal. Same thing goes with the mind. Your mind has a self-correcting system that naturally guides you back to your natural state of well-being, resourcefulness, happiness, whatever you want to call it. Just the feeling of right, you know what I mean? The feeling of trust. Are you with me far? Yes, good. So going back to like after this workshop, I was like, I really thought I got this. Didn't I get this? What was it again? Like, why am I not feeling the way I felt at the workshop? While I was trying to figure out the insight I just had, in that moment I am feeling my thinking. So I'm feeling my ruminating. I'm feeling my trying to understand. So after, this was like in the back of my head, and I just noticed that in life in general, I just fell into this cool state of flow, and things just seemed to be just a little bit more effortless, and then the next week even more effortless, and I was more inspired. I took more inspired action instead of action based on fear. See the difference? Well, there's an action based on need, and there's an action based on inspiration. If I believe, if I'm in the paradigm of believing that if I achieve X, then I will be happy. If I genuinely believe that if I will get X amount of dollars, then I would feel good, then by definition, the initial action comes from neediness. Okay? So it's once you fundamentally understand that you're born naturally, you're born happy, like your natural state, your most natural state is a clear mind, is well-being, is complete clarity in all your decision making. Then it pulls the rug under every limiting belief you have. Yeah, sometimes I track off and then I track in again. Yeah, so we went to Gothenburg. This was happening in the back of my mind. I was just noticing that my own experience got better and better without actually understanding why, but really noticing it. So it was like having, and then at one point me and Chris and Tess and some others, we ended up in Gothenburg, and we were like, have you been noticing this and this? And yeah, you've been noticing this and this, and all of a sudden, you had this huge insight again about exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing, but tuning into the life unfolding, kind of, if that makes sense. And again, realizing that we are living in the feeling of our thought-generated experience, moment to moment to moment, now, and now, and now. So you all have your unique, you all have your unique experience. If you were a chameleon, you would see different colors than what you do now. There are frequencies that we cannot see, that we cannot perceive. It's just life, or whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to call life, just realize it's just a name, but whatever life source or whatever you want to call it, and then we have our human experience of life. And that's our human experience. So when we go through life and we believe that, whoa, this is bad, then that is just a tiny misunderstanding that we believe that our feelings can come from the outside in. You are only feeling thoughts taking form in the moment. And when realizing that, then all of a sudden all the things out there, all the challenges, it's not that big of a deal anymore. Well, it's not that it's just like raises the level. I used to be on a roller coaster believing that I was going to die when the roller coaster went down, and then everything was good when the roller coaster went up. And oh shit, my life is go to hell. And oh yes, I just did something successful, whatever. But realizing that well, this is a metaphor, but realizing that roller coaster is on a fleet going down the river anyways. So you might as well enjoy the ride. It's all in a realization. So I know that what I'm saying can be hard to understand. It's because we are trying with our current paradigm, our current understanding, to understand something outside of our understanding. It's impossible. How can you, like, if I would have seen a color that no one of you have seen, how could I explain that to you? I can't. It has to show itself to you. So yeah, and then the normal question goes, well, okay, how do I not understand, or how do I, how do I get this insight or whatever? How do I see that? How do I make the thought monsters not real? Or remove the thought monsters? Well, we talk about our problems as something real when it's not. Okay? Our problems are our thought-generated experience. And I'm not saying that once you realize this, you'll be happy forever. We have an experience of life. And that's it. Life is unfolding, and we have an experience of it. So if you go in and out of, like naturally we go in and out of different experiences. Sometimes we feel good, sometimes we feel bad, and everyone knows it. That's natural. It's okay. That's life unfolding. But the lesser, like the more we, or let me say this, let me think a little bit before I say this. The more we are in the way trying to manage our thinking, the longer time it takes for the self-correcting system to just send you back to your natural state of well-being. It's a self-correcting system. You're now sitting here feeling a certain way, having a certain experience, which is 100% different than an experience you had just 3 days ago. 3 minutes ago. Thoughts, they come and go just like a river, just like the weather. We don't know what we're going to think 5 seconds from now. We don't know what our experience is going to be 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 weeks from now. We have no idea. We're shitty at predicting the future because we don't know. How can we can't see into the future like that. So thoughts, they come and go as a river. And then you have an experience of it. So what happens is, like, a thought comes to mind and you go like oh, this is a, like, oh, this girl rejected me. And that's your experience of your thought-generated experience. You are experiencing a girl rejecting you or a guy rejecting you. And then you go, and you notice that it's an intense experience. And then we tend to mistakenly, or we tend to look at intense experiences and mistake them as something important. Okay? So what we do is we start holding on to a bad thought or a thought monster. And then we keep holding on to that, and then we think, okay, and how do I fix this? So you put more thoughts on it, and you go, okay, so, well, I shouldn't be thinking about this, and then you overthink about your overthinking, and then you start worrying about your overthinking, and then you start ruminating about your worrying, and all of a sudden you're in this experience that doesn't feel good because your head is running 100 miles an hour. See, it's like almost like a volume knob, or like a speedometer. Say this is 1,000 thoughts per minute. Thoughts per minute. Thoughts per minute. you know those times when you just, someone would call it like a meditative state, someone would call it being in the flow, someone would call it being in the zone. Those times when you're just apparently you're focusing on one thing, you feel good, you get the job done, you're just in the zone. Or you're just connecting with someone and both of you just like resonate with each other, just like Tim talked about, right? You know those times, yes? Yeah. At those times there's very little there's just little critical thinking, there's very few thoughts going through your mind. But other times we have a lot of thought, and this mind has a self-correcting system, so it automatically will always send you slowly back to your natural well-being, a blank slate. Slowly, but if you go in the way, like, what we tend to do is like we're in the way trying to fix this. So we a lot on our minds, and then we start thinking about that, and we use our minds to try. Like if I were to try and think my way down from overthinking, I would just add thinking, right? So it just works one way. There's no application in the picture at all. I'm not saying don't do anything. I'm just saying that there's no correlation between doing and there's no real correlation between doing and happiness. The only causal effect is thought taking form in the moment. Mind, consciousness, and thought taking form. Just life unfolding. Literally.
All right, Morten?
Oh yeah, time?
We're a little bit over time.
Gotcha.
So can I just ask you, what can people expect from you? This microphone is not on.
Okay, so in the breakout session...
What can people expect you in the workshop? Yeah.
Yeah. In the breakout session, I would love to take people, whoever want to do a one-on-one on stage in front of everyone so they can see how I work with people. And so I would love to do that. Other than that, I will be constantly pointing towards this deeper understanding, this breakthrough, this paradigm. When the earth was flat, the smartest people in the world knew that the earth was flat. They didn't believe, they didn't think it or guessed it, they knew it. I'm saying this is the new paradigm in psychology. And that just like, I say this because that just is real to me. It just resonates. It just, for me, it's right, it feels right, and for everyone else that, in my opinion, has, or in this, the same understanding. So I'm going to be constantly pointing towards that and doing my best to help you guys tune into this new paradigm of psychology, and that will result in you falling more and more into the flow of life, being more, taking more inspired, feeling more inspired, taking action from an inspired place, from clarity, from well-being, instead of from, oh, I think I need this, so I will force myself and try this and manage this and change my thinking and yada yada yada. So it's all about tuning in to nature. Yeah.
Cool, cool. So you're gonna be, I don't know what's with this. Okay, you're gonna be on stage with somebody, with one person.
I'd love to do that. Yeah.
Doing a kind of a one-on-one conversation, which other people can kind of listen to get a sense of where you're pointing.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Please thank Morten Hake.